educational system, the concept of feedback as we know it in the UK was introduced, like, I think when I started school around 2007. So it isn't really pretty developed. So I think before that, they just, like, the entire educational process was only based on grades. And during the communist era, they only wanted you to have good grades, and they didn't really care about how you feel and so on. Yeah.
There's not a huge amount of effort from the teacher in giving your feedback in that. Yeah, it's mostly something that we would try to do ourselves afterwards. Between us.
In later years, I don't think we got any written feedback. Like, everyone was happy to tell us and help us, but the only written feedback you got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There were many exercises, and we just saw the correction of the teachers. A lot of the time, we if something was wrong, you would just see a cross, but you wouldn't know why, like what was wrong.
But sometimes on the lesson, we went through the test and the teacher told us the correct answer. But it wasn't really that beneficial because I couldn't remember all the things that he or she said. And I don't think I could improve. I just could see that I didn't study enough, or I should like focus on other things that like I focused. But mainly our exams were like memorizing, and this is what I wanted to like emphasize in this interview, that the biggest difference in my country and in UK is the form of assessment, or the things that school expects from us.
Especially in the context of tech tests, you could go to the teacher at the end of the class and discuss your own answer to a particular question, like that was common as well. But it would come from you. So if you wanted specific feedback from a specific teacher, you could get it, but you have to search for it and ask for it.
I would go after getting feedback, so I would stay after to ask any questions, or for example, they would have parent-teacher conferences, and I would usually go to those as well.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, I felt that because I went looking for it, it was offered to me.
We got generalized feedback like, most of you did well, as usual, but look at this and that. And if you didn't like anything, well, it was still high school, so you just go not in front of the class, but go to the front and just start politely and respectfully arguing.
Well, first off, there are marks, which are a form of feedback. There is written feedback quite often, next, especially maybe not on like maths tests or something, but like essays or the sort. There is like some sort of personalized feedback given by the teacher. Then there is verbal feedback, either in lesson or like outside of the lesson. If the teacher says, "Oh, you did good on this, maybe try to focus on that a bit more."
So at the end of term, we would always, so each student for each subject was supposed to reflect on their own performance and mark themselves.
Oh,
so
really?
You have to, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mention this, but you have to like so you were given the criteria that the teachers supposedly follow when assessing you. So stuff like tests, participation in class, and then coursework. And you had to kind of mark yourself against each criteria and then come up with like a final mark and tell that to the teacher. And it was a formal thing. You had to write it down and sign your name at the end.
It's quite extensive, at least in the school that I went to, because for every test or exam that is written, you get back comments on your test and marks for each individual question. And also, if something isn't clear to you, you always have the opportunity to speak to your teachers, and they always elaborate on that. And you can also keep your tests, like all of your written tests, for future reference.
Like they just give feedback on everything they can, from punctuation to just commenting on your, approach in general. We had a calculus BC class. It was also an AP class. The teacher, like he would collect all the homework and then actually, check and comment as if it was just like primary school actually, but it helped us a lot. Like I remember sometimes I just didn't have I forgot to bring the paper, and then I would send the screenshots instead, and he would actually print those out and write on those printed images, which was impressive actually.
When we would have projects, which was not a very common thing, sometimes like the teachers would comment on the way we presented the project, or maybe what could be improved and what didn't go as well as it should have gone. And also, like very few teachers would actually ask for feedback from students.
Feedback was never something that students would give to the teachers, at least not in a formal way. Feedback was always something that we as students received from our teachers.
In Poland, I never got any response to the feedback. So we could provide some feedback, but just like went somewhere. I'm not sure how seriously it was taken. So we could like grade the teachers, we could provide some comments, but definitely it was more focused on like assigning points, like just measuring our satisfaction on like a scale of 1 to 10. There were some gaps to provide comments, but it was fewer. So yeah, I guess that these are like the main differences I noticed.